Well, as I've had this new machine hanging out and waiting for its official maiden voyage for the first quilt created from start to finish on it, today's the day to introduce that project. So we have a friend of ours that are expecting their first little one at the end of October. I think Halloween might even be her due date, but they've been friends of my husband for a very, very long time, ever since his college days. And so since this is their first little one, we decided that we were gonna make a quilt. And by we, I really mean me. He's on board. I showed him everything that I was thinking, and he's very excited and wondering how I know more things than he does. It's just, you just gotta know the questions to ask and where to lurk, and here we are. So I'm gonna do the board and batten quilt. I was going to do this originally with the Muppet fabric, but I just couldn't bring myself to cut it up, and I was like, this is gonna look better in a scrappy variation. And now that I've buckled down and working on getting this new machine underway, and now that that's here, and I've got honeymoon coming up, so I just wanted a quick quilt project to kind of take a little brain break before our little vacation, but still be creating something. And so this is gonna be it. So we know that she's having a baby boy, and so that kind of turned my color intrigue into a certain direction, more blues and greens versus pinks and purples, obviously. And so with that, she also said that they were doing a woodland animal theme. And so when I looked at the board and batten quilt and then thought about how I could quilt it, those kind of things kind of paired together. So I am going with the scrappy colorway, and then my quilting detail is how I'm gonna bring the woodland animals in. So today we're just gonna start with making the quilt top, and then we'll talk about the quilting next time. And so originally I was like, I'm just gonna do this from my stash. I'm gonna find everything, I already have it all, so I can really get going. But once I started pairing my pieces together, yes, I'm doing a baby size, so I don't need a lot of pieces, but my scraps just, they didn't do it for me. So after I did a photo day for a local theater group, I took a little field trip out to Cloth Carousel in Vacaville, and after pacing around a whole lot and trying to figure out which direction I wanted to go, did I want to go cutesy animal in the print, or did I just want to go colors? This is what I ended up with. So this one that my finger's on right here, this is a scrap that I had. It's one of the Kimberbell, one of their basics. But with all these bright, so I didn't go a true red, but we'll talk about that later. This kind of bright and colorful and cheery, happy colors. I think they're gonna look so cool in there, with some being whole pieces, some being scrappy pieces, to do those half square triangles and then end up with that herringbone look. I'm so super excited. And then instead of doing like a true white as the background, I got this kind of creamy color. It's one of the Quilter's Linen by Robert Kaufman. I got this at trusty old Cali Quilt Co. This is actually what I bought first, and then I bought these. So we're all sorts of backwards around here, but I wanted something that was like a small print. This was my starting piece, and then I kind of built from there. And I tried to not do like linear dots on everything, but I've got some that are dots, some that are texture, some are like this texture that has dots. I think that might be thatched. Yep, I love that thatched. It's a good one. And then I've got some that are just kind of blendery. This one's that like straight line dot, another blendery. These greens were kind of fun to bring in. I was having a hard time going, do I go a lighter green? Do I go a darker green? But I think these two greens together kind of bridge that gap. And then this one's an art gallery one. When I brought that one home, my husband goes, I have a shirt in that print. And I was like, you sure do. And he wore it today and showed me, and he's like, it doesn't have the little triangles in there, but well, now we know he has a matching shirt. So first things first, I've got to cut these. The pattern's written for 5 fat quarters or 2 charm packs. So I'm gonna do the math, figure out how many of each of these I have, because I have 8 fabrics here. I just got 1/4 of a yard pieces instead of fat quarters. And so we're gonna figure out how many of each I need, and then it's gonna be time to half square triangles. So I'm gonna get my HP foot on here, my high performance foot. I think that's really gonna help me get my points nice and pointy and my piecing nice and precise. And so we're gonna get going once we get all the cutting. So let's get to work. So now the bulk of all my trimming is done. I've got all my house square triangles all set and ready to go. So now it's time to separate these out by color. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make piles of the color and the matching house square triangles so then I can lay out my blocks and start making those. And then once I make my blocks, then it's going to make my quilt top. And then it's going to be done because this is just baby size quilt. It's like 40 by 46 or something. It's not very big at all. So let's lay out some blocks. So at this point I've got all my blocks done. There are 15 of them. So we went from 30 of these squares, 30 of these squares, and 30, well, 60 half square triangles, I think. And now we're down to just 15 blocks. So tomorrow's gonna be design wall day because I'm in my pajamas right now and it's time for bed. But in the meantime, these are gonna go 5 across and 3 down, which feels weird, but because they're such a long block, that's how it's gonna take up that space. So we'll see at the design wall when it's daylight. Here is how the baby size board and batten turned out with those kind of scrappier fabrics that I bought. And I have to say, this was a difficult scrappy. I thought having more colors instead of just doing 5 fat quarters would have been easier to make things mix and match, but I really didn't pay much attention to where my certain colors were being placed within my triangles and whether they were in the top triangle, this one. The only ones I really paid attention to were the directional prints. And so I think a lot of like this green one got stuck in a lot of the same spots, which I don't hate, like these guys being right next to each other. My main thing was just making sure they weren't like touching so that I wasn't sewing this onto the same orange or this blue kept happening a lot. So it is what it is. I think it's really cute. When I look at it in the viewfinder over here, I can see how cute and scrappy it is. It's just going to take some getting used to. So this turned out really cute. I can see how using a layer cake or a charm pack would make it easier, because then you would have less prints to work with. Well, less of each print to work with and more prints, because then the layer cake usually has like 42 squares in it. Usually it's 2 of each. So if you're doing a bigger one, you got lots of options there. So I'm going to give you an up close look so that you can see all these bright and happy colors a little bit better, and then we'll be back real soon to quilt it.